So last time in the comment section down below, you guys voted to see Reaper. So here we are watching Spirit playing Reaper. And if you'd like to see any certain character in the future, please, leave them in the comment section down below. And if you already see it down there, like that up. And whoever gets the most likes, I'll try to do for next time. Anyways, we're seeing Reaper right here. And overall, Reaper's probably one of my favorite characters. The character that I play the most often and that I've really had the most luck with. So hopefully I can give you at least some insight into this character if you haven't been having way too much luck with him. Now, what I'm going to really say about this guy is that you don't really want to think of Reaper as much of a flanker anymore. I know for quite a few seasons, especially season 2 and 3, he was a flanker, and then after that, no one really played him. And then after that, after his buffs, he's finally become a bit differently. You kind of have to think of him differently. You have to think of him as a frontline killer that when you have the chance to get on the back line, you take. So, as we see a lot, as we see right here, we're punching the diva, we're getting all of our damage out. If we can't kill her, we back off. But if we can happen to get through her or get near this backline, the Genji, we take it. We kill that person and we go on from there. But again, when the diva does come up close, we go after them. You generally just want to shoot the person with the biggest hitbox next to you. And if it's a tank, don't be afraid to put your damage straight through their shields, as we see right here. Now, we're fighting a Mercy as well, which is very annoying to kill as Reaper. One of the characters that I feel like can sometimes make him feel a little bit weak. But what you can kind of do against the Mercy is somewhat ignore her and just maul through the rest of her team. Your DPS is much higher than the average DPS, and you have to remember that. But something you might also want to remember is that you have to stay right next to walls, otherwise you will get outranged and outdamaged by pretty much everyone. Right there, though, we did see something. You can actually somewhat kind of snipe people at mid-range as Reaper. If you see people at mid-range and you're like, maybe I can get some damage out, just go for it. Don't be afraid of wasting your shots. If you do happen to waste your shots and you get right next to them and you don't have any ammo left, just hit that shift button, become safe, become your Wraith form, and then go back in and fight even more. As well, right there, we saw, we're getting dived on by the Genji. Really, whenever you feel like you're just about to die, hit that Wraith form, and you don't really have to use it for way too much other than that. And I guess you could use it to get on the back line, on the tanks, or to finish off someone like a Mercy. That's all pretty nice. Right there, we finish off the Orisa. Works out pretty well for us. We're trying to go after the Diva. Unfortunately, she goes a bit too far away. We do happen to take that guy out. We melee the Genji out, and then we finally finish off the Zenyatta. Yeah, that's quite nice for us. Earlier on, we also did see that we actually used the E to get behind the enemies and try to go for a kill. We didn't quite finish them off, but even if you don't get the kill, you can still just Wraith form and become safe again. Right now, we should maybe be going for the Mercy. You'd probably think to yourself, but as Reaper, you really can't kill the Mercy. That's something you gotta keep in mind. It is possible, but it's very, very hard unless she's right next to you. So just go after everyone else, force the Mercy to use all of her reses now, and just try to take it out. Of course, if you do have the perfect opportunity to kill her, take it, but it is a lot harder than with most other DPS. As we're continuing, we're just kind of chilling out, doing whatever we're trying to do. But also, we see that we aren't really trying to actually assassinate people that much at all. Unless our team is already ahead in the team fight, unless we already have a kill or two, or our team's already pushing up quite a bit, or anything like that, we generally stay back next to our team, play defensively, push on the cart, kill the enemy's tanks, and then kill the enemy's front lines. If you actually see right now, we are only playing one tank with a Reaper. Right here we see something really cool, waiting around a corner, right next to a door. Remember that while you might not always want to try to go for flanks, if you are in a very closed area, you can take them. I'd say in open areas, almost never really go for these flanks unless nobody notices you. Otherwise, you're probably just going to get picked off and you'd be a lot more useful with your team. But in enclosed areas like this, that can be a good time for you to do it. And as we see again and again, we're kind of sniping people at a medium range with Reaper, which is a little bit weird, but you can try to go for that. And we are still trying to finish off as many frontline people as we can. It's kind of weird. Reaper's not really like a tank, but he's not really exactly like a lot of the other pick DPS. He's kind of like a tank buster slash like flanker when you are winning the team fight, but when you're losing the team fight, you go after the tanks. It's really awkward, but I feel like it's pretty fun. So, you can do whatever. All right, here we're taking high ground. It's best to take high ground without using your E if possible. Your shadow step, whatever it's called, is not that great, and often it risks your own death. So if you can just walk up there, it's a lot safer. We're going in right here. We're trying to see what we can do. Well, we see that we're actually down a few people. Unfortunately, we get walled right here. We do get a kill, but, it wasn't the best. But we didn't waste our ult. That's what I want to point out. I see a lot of people that would have just ulted right there because, maybe I could get something cool out of it. And while that might be true, oftentimes you just be wasting your crap and it's not the best. Save it until you actually have a team fight that you have a high chance of winning. Don't just ult because, people are randomly around you. Ults are so important in this game. They're like the most important thing. And as we see right here, since we saved her ult, we can now use it now and do pretty well. I think we get to take out this Zarya eventually. She does go for a graviton at us by herself. That makes total sense, right? You know, whatever. Our team gets taken out, which is unfortunate for us, but we can see that our ultimate was quite well put up right there. And, you know, if our team would have played a bit better, we might have been able to finish off the enemies. Something else that you can do with your ult also, though, that I think might be important to mention, is that your ultimate can actually kill the Mercy a lot better than the regular guns in your kit. Especially if the enemy Mercy is stuck in an enclosed area. If you can shoot them once and then ult, you can kill them pretty quickly. And I've had many times where I get booped up, I get shot up, you know, or the Mercy just is stuck in an enclosed area and I can kill her. And you kind of want to save your ult for that because it's one of the best ways that you can actually take that person out. Also, we see that we're often shooting the Genji. I see a lot of Reapers just kind of ignoring Genji when they come onto your backline because you think you can't damage them. You often can, though. Maybe you're only going to get like 10 or 20 damage per shot and not your full like 100 whatever. But even if you can damage them just a little bit and kind of make them want to run away, that's good enough. Right there, we saw that we actually saw straight through the Zarya shield. I know a lot of people say never do that, and it does make sense because you are giving her charge. But if you feel like you and your team have like almost 100% chance to finish off the Zarya, I'd say probably go for that, go through the shield, and try the best. Especially if you catch out a Zarya. I know that you don't want to give her charge, but if you think that it's probably a free kill, try to take that. Especially if you think that she probably has ultimate, because, you know, her with her ultimate is pretty important. If you can take that out, it might win you the team fight. Also, I want to say that, unfortunately, we couldn't take this guy out because Mercy's just so hard to kill as Reaper. But Reaper generally does work a lot better on the closer maps. But even on a map like this, that's pretty open and not the best for Reaper, obviously, you can still play it differently. You don't have to play around the car, around the middle all the time. You can instead go around the sides, go around all the different little tunnels, and try to get out all your damage near there. And then at the very end, go next to your other tank or your tanks and attack the enemy tanks on the cart to finally finish off the point. You do have to kind of change up how you are playing, depending on where you are on the map, obviously, but that's kind of how you want to pull that off. Again, against certain characters, I think we're going to see this right here. During the front, yeah, right here. We find a McCree. You want to find him in an enclosed area that's really close up. I think we might be able to finish it off. Maybe not quite. But what you want to do, even more than just fight McCree in an enclosed area, is to make sure that you're actually fighting him with a tank, because it's very risky for yourself. Even if you can dodge his shift, or not a shift, even if you can dodge his flashbang with your shift, it's still very risky for you. So I wouldn't really try to take that way too much. As we're continuing, though, we're also seeing that we're fighting against a Bastion. Right there, we did amazingly. We took out those two guys in the back. And I think we get a die right here, unfortunately. But I thought we might have killed him. Against a Bastion, I feel like this is one of the hardest matchups for you as Reaper. I know Bastion's normally thought of as not that great of a character. But especially on these maps where they have to push it on the payload, it can be quite hard for you. You just gotta kind of wait on parts of the maps where you have high ground, or where you can jump on him, or where you're next to a tank, or where you're with a diva. Anything like that. And just jump on the Bastion and try to 2-shot him. Or maybe even try to 3-shot him. You can't do much else, and I would say never just Wraith form in and then try to shoot him from there. That just doesn't work. Right here, though, we go in with our team. The Bastion kind of gets caught out a little bit. The entire enemy team's kind of dead, and that's something you can also do if you kill multiples of the enemies. The Bastion's by himself, and you can kill him pretty easily. But, you know, we finish him off. One thing that you might want to keep in mind, though, is that after you do kill the Bastion, stay kind of where the Bastion wants to park it up next time, or I guess where he wants to just set up. Because if you can kill him where he starts to set up again, well, he can't really set up that well. And if you can just kind of stay in a similar area to where you know he's probably going to set up either on the car or right here next to the car. If you can stand there and just keep killing him before he gets on the car, he's going to have to force a switch. But if he does get set up, you're kind of screwed as Reaper. So it's essentially a case where you just have to stop him from doing it in the first place before you can really counter it. Yeah, that's really all you can do against this. Right now we could shadow step upwards, but it's a lot safer for us to just shift upwards or to just walk up these stairs. And as we keep going on, you know, we're trying to damage people. We're mainly staying around walls. We get a little bit open right here, but it's okay because we wait again around doors, shoot around doors. Something you might want to do actually is to shoot, walk around the door a little bit, shoot, walk around the door a little bit, shoot, walk around the door a little bit, continue that, and you can actually beat most characters like that because you have this burst DPS more than, well, you have this like weird sustained burst DPS where it's burst and then nothing, and then burst and then nothing, and then burst and then nothing. And if you can kind of work that, like as we see right here, where you burst him, walk around the corners, it can make so you can really like take out anyone. I'll try to stop using really because I've been saying that way too much, but you can take out almost anyone if you can play around corners, or if you can play around really anything. Sorry about that. Way too much, which is difficult, but yeah, you can try to learn that, and that's a good skill to keep in mind. It's a much better skill than spamming jump, and yeah, don't spam jump as Reaper. I know a lot of people want to, and it can be okay, especially against Reaper, where you might get just murdered by certain abilities like a scatter arrow. I think it's a good idea, not against Reaper, against Hanzo. It might be a good idea to jump and try to dodge all of his scatter arrows and crap, and it makes it that his headshots are kind of harder in close range. But a lot of other cases, when you're jumping, it's just easier for people to headshot you, and you can't move quite as much, and it's just not nearly as good. So don't focus on jumping around way too much, and instead use this tactic to run around left and right mainly, and you know that'll help you actually get a lot more kills and make so you actually die a lot less. I know that sounds really simple, but that's one of the best things you can do. We also do see that we have a Lucio on our team this game. That's a good thing for us. Reaper's big problem, I feel like, is that he doesn't really have that much just engage by himself. He needs teammates to help him engage, and Lucio's that teammate that can help you engage. It can get you up there, it can make so that you still have your Wraith form to disengage, and of course the shield makes so that you can get out a ton of damage on the enemy tanks, and then by the time that your shield finally goes away, you can go for your own damage and start to heal up yourself. It works out overall quite well. So yeah, if you can get a Reaper, not a Reaper, if you can get a Lucio on your team, that can help you quite a bit as well. There we saw ourselves trying to just walk our faces directly into the enemy Orisa. That's kind of what you have to do. If you try to outpoke the Orisa, that's not going to work for you. What you can do is to, again, walk around these corners, as you see, again, it's really great with this character, but shoot their barriers, and then just try to shoot them as much as you possibly can. Shooting the Orisa barrier actually helps your team a ton, because if you can get rid of that barrier, it'll just make so that your team can get all their damage out, and so that you can get in and punish that Orisa as easily as you possibly can. Again, I want to talk about something though. You can play Reaper with only one other tank. I feel like it's kind of hard because you have to play always around corners, and you always have to wait for picks and stuff like that, and always have to wait until you can get close to the Mercy or to the Lucio or to the Orisa or anything. So I feel like it's much harder to play, but you can do that, and you will have more overall DPS. However, if you want an easier game as Reaper, I'd say play with like a Reinhardt or an Orisa, because it allows you to get in close without having to put in way too much effort, and it's just quite a bit easier, and you can often out damage any of the other enemy team's own tanks yourself. That being said, a lot of people don't really want to go tanks, and often you just kind of can do well enough as Reaper with one other tank. So it's fine, but those are kind of the pros and cons of playing Reaper with one tank compared to having multiple tanks that can help you out quite a bit. As we continue, we also see that again and again, the enemy Mercy is close to us, but we're not really going for her. It's just, again, hard for you to kill this person. And just try to hit whoever else is close. Again, though, what I want to say is that if the Mercy does shift directly onto someone you just killed, try to finish her off. If you can get one neck shot and, you know, one-shot her, that is completely worth it for you. But don't waste an entire clip on her. Many people just waste too many bullets on the Mercy. They're just so hopeful that they're going to finish her, but don't do that. Just take what you can and then get damage on everybody else that you know is completely, you know, just damage that you're going to get no matter what. Very sustainable damage. Right there we see an ultimate. We just completely clutch it out, kill everybody on the enemy team. You know, do what we can. And remember, the ultimate does go very high vertically, so you can kill most people. Right there, we see that you can't really kill Mercy unless she's directly on you. Again, something that you just have to deal with. And we see a Widowmaker. Against Widowmaker, what you have to do is either just let your team deal with them, engage with one of your tanks like a Diva or a Winston, or just try to jank her out around walls, try to use your Shadow Step to get behind her, anything like that. You can't really beat her that much on a 1v1 because she can just, if she's good, headshot you when you're dead. So that's hard, and there's not way too much mobility that you actually have to get next to her without trying to jank her out. Finally, we're on this high ground again. We're just going to jump up, punch people in the face. As you see, we're going after the Zarya first, as it's the easiest target to hit that we know we can try to go for. After that, though, we back up a little bit, make sure that we're safe, and go straight back in, finish off the Zarya, finish off, well, maybe we didn't get the Zarya, but we finish off the Soldier, we finish off the McCree, and we're trying to finish off whoever else we can. That's a nice thing that you can try to go for, is to go in, get a bit of damage, Shadow Step out, or Wraith Form out, I mean, and then walk back in, and I guess finally finish it off with your own ult. and that worked out well for us. That was generally how we like to play. Get in, get out, wait a little bit, play around corners, and try to get your damage out in bursts that is also consistent. So, you know, that's kind of how it went. Anyways, as always, guys, that's all I'm going to say. I feel like Spirit is a very good Reaper and a character that is just strong in the right hands. But I guess Reaper can also be quite weak if you don't know how to play around corners, and mainly if you don't know when to go in. If you don't go in with your team, you're kind of screwed in a lot of situations. If you try to play the game by yourself, you're kind of screwing yourself. You got to play with your teams. You got to play smart. But if you do all that, I feel like Reaper can be a choice that can win you a ton of games. And on my Smurf, I think boost myself from like 2,500 all the way to 3,500 in about 2 days. So definitely a pick that will be worthwhile for your time. Anyways, as always, guys, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, press the subscribe button, leave a like, or comment down below who you want to see next. Sorry this was so long, but I felt like it was a good gameplay, so hopefully you learned a little bit from it. And sorry for saying very so much. I don't know why, but I just use terms like that when I shouldn't really. So I'll try to work on that. Anyways, as always, guys, thank you all for watching, and have a wonderful day. I'd like to thank Gilded.gg for sponsoring this video and mainly helping me a lot through the adpocalypse. So, Gilded itself is a website focused on finding, founding, and expanding your gaming team with relative ease. You can schedule events, recruit new members, build team comps, and find teams to scrim with and to scrim against. Best of all to you guys, it's free. You can get started yourself with the link in the description below, and if you sign up by November 10th, you'll be entered into a chance to win a $50 Blizzard gift card. So, maybe I'll see you there.